Hello, everybody. It's me. Hold on a second. Hello, everybody. It's me. Nice. Man Alone. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that my intro graphic, this is pretty much as far as it's gotten, which I think it's great. I think it does the trick, but I've been thinking, and look, the channel is growing. I'm growing as a person. You're all growing. Everything's growing, and this YouTube channel has to have an intro graphic that represents that growth. You know, they say that when it comes to your work, that you should always dress for the job you want to have rather than the job you have, right? And I think, in a way, your intro video should represent the type of YouTube channel that you want to have. Now, I think it's fairly obvious like sooner or later, I'm going to have several million followers. And so, I need an intro video that says, hey, I'm serious. I'm here. I'm one of the big channels on YouTube. I make $5 million a week off of ads. And that really starts with an intro video. And so I have created one. I put in some sweat equity. I won't lie. In order to make this video, I studied for several hundred thousand hours on graphic design, filmography, video editing, machine learning, deep learning, AI, calligraphy, and all of those skills I put together in order to create an intro video that I'm really proud of, and that represents not only what this channel is about, not only solo role playing, but who I am as a person, and also this community. I needed it to be short, right? Can't be an incredibly long video. People are going to get bored. Had to be pretty quick. I had to fit all that in, all of that meaning into 5 or 6 seconds. And by daggum, I think I've got it. Okay. And so without any further ado, I'd like to present to you the new intro video that you're going to be seeing from now on. And I, of course, would love your feedback, but please understand that this video it's my heart and soul, right? It is, in a way, me. And so if you do give any feedback, just remember you're sort of giving feedback about who I am as a person. But I'll leave it there and just let the video do the talking. Please enjoy. Yeah, nice. So yeah, that is the new video. You're going to be seeing that at the beginning of my videos from now on. The idea is that, the music combined with the visuals, the sort of what I would consider sort of gripping visuals, the whole thing's a tour de force. My goal is that it causes a Pavlovian response in you as a viewer. So ideally, if you were at a gas station and somebody started watching one of my videos on the phone next to you, just hearing that music would cause you to start salivating. Like, here, try it. It's probably going to happen right now. And you probably didn't have a chance to like really explore all the pieces of the video anyway. So this is the second world premiere. And please enjoy the video once again. Okay. I don't love to brag, but it's hard not to feel proud of myself. Welcome, everybody. So I know this is the 4th video I think I'm making in 4 days. And every time I do this, every time I go on a tear, I get a couple comments from people that are like, man alone, chill. You're going to burn yourself out. And my response to that is, bro, I know I am. That's how I operate, right? I'll just get very excited about something and I'll do it nonstop for several days, maybe even a few weeks. And then I'll just wake up one day and be in a complete existential crisis. And I'll say, what am I doing? Look at my life. It's dripping away slowly. Why even make these videos? What does it all mean? Ow, make the pain stop, please. No more, no more. But eventually I get out of bed, I have some cereal, and little by little, few days pass, I'm going to make some more videos, right? But in those interim periods, when I'm in the depths of my despair, there might not be a video posted for even a week. And so during that time, I want you to be able to go back into my archive, into my library, and be able to look at all the videos that you were not able to watch. Okay. So if you're not watching this one as soon as it comes out, that's okay. I want to start by speaking of Pavlovian responses and drooling. This is the new Dragonbane Bestiary. So just take a look at that. This is beautiful, and I love having it in my hands. I love having it so much so that I went ahead and bought the hardcover rules book, even though I already have the softcover rules book. I bought the hardcover one because I could not help myself. I have a problem, but there are reasons behind my problem. First of all, I love this and I want to see it on my shelf, and this, it has no spine. It's spineless. Furthermore, if I'm playing with others, I want to be able to have a rules book that I can loan out without losing mine completely. And there is this is really a really nice, well-made, rules book, but it does have, the binding glue is kind of coming apart just because I've used the hell out of this book. So it's not anything against it. But I just want it. Okay. I just want the hardcover. And it's not only aesthetic. I will say it's mostly aesthetic. But there is also, some features, and there's really just one feature, is that the other book is going to end, I think, right here on page 112, campaigns. But the new one, and when you buy it, you get an instant PDF. So this is included. You get a starting adventure, the Castle of the Robber Knight, which is not in either the rules book or the adventure book. It's a new introductory quest, and I don't want to spoil it, especially if you're not a GM, if you're a player or you're going to be soloing. But just to kind of scan through it here to see what it features, you got the situation, you got locations, you got lots of random event tables, you got NPCs, you got maps, you got some bosses, some monsters, and a hell of a last guy, it looks like. I haven't spoiled it for myself too much yet, just kind of scanned through it like you did, but pretty excited. And some additional improvised weapons as well, which I thought were just kind of like the improvised weapons that were from here, like the cards. And some of them, well, actually, they probably are. These actually are ones that are already featured, I think. So we have boiling cauldron. Do we have a bucket of soapy water? Some of these are really funny. If you watch my last video, there was a puddle was one of these. And actually I removed those from the deck. I should put those back in. But yeah, it has some other little features on here, but mostly you're getting this additional introductory adventure, which from the looks of it, looks like it's going to be very good to sort of get people. It's a good first campaign or first quest for people. So we have some improvised weapons here, some treasures. And so I guess this is like, even if you don't have the cards or whatever, if you're just buying the treasure table. And yeah, I think the player sheet was was already in the original book. So that's the new rule book. This is going to play every single time I switch back to this camera, isn't it? Let me try that again and see if it does it again. Okay, good. I'll keep torturing. Okay, the other thing that I got with this bestiary, and what I am sort of giddy about, well, first of all, they gave me an additional map. Not only, I think this is pretty similar to the map that's in the starter box, except it is glossy. It's a higher stock. This side looks familiar, but the opposite side of it, I do not. It looks new. All right, so it looks like kind of stony. It's well made, well put together, but these are the real source of my thrill here. Is a whole new set of amazing standees. Some are big, beautiful. Obviously, the illustrations are incredible. Now, I will say a couple of things that I wish they had included. And this is, I don't want to say, this is not a critique because I am just so thrilled with this whole package. But I'll say a few things that I think would have been nice. First thing is that in the original standees, you get like one or more of each kin, okay? And for instance, the Mallard, you will get a knight and also a scholar, but it's not focusing very, there we go. But say you wanted a Mallard kin with a mage, it would have been nice if they did a couple more combinations of the playable characters. Now, I do recognize that with this bestiary, there are a new set of playable characters. There is Knightkin and Rarekin, and so they did include those. But I don't know. There's just sometimes like I feel like, okay, so this is a mariner. It's a human mariner, but if I had a dwarf mariner, would I want to use this standee? Right? It wouldn't feel right because it's a human, and so I thought it would be cool. Hopefully, eventually they do a little bit more diversity in that respect. But yeah, so that's one thing. That's one thing I sort of wish for. The other thing, I don't know if another thing that I wish for is that it would be cool if they included all of the entries that were in the rule book in this bestiary as well. I think that including all of the playable characters, again, even though it would have been like a duplicate, I just like the idea of having all of the NPCs, monsters, and characters in one place. Okay, so that's a wish list thing. It's okay that we don't have it. It would have been nice. The other small thing, it's not a hang up, but I do wonder about it, is like, you have these Knightkin and very cool goblin, hobgoblin, ogre, orc, which could be interesting to have a party of all that. It does instruct you with some of these, like your GM or the other people at the table have to be okay with you using them. But what I guess is like kind of strange, and maybe there is a mechanical reason for this, or just maybe this goes all the way back to the original game. But so you'd be cat people, right? Very cool. And then it's like, okay, you could be a centaur, but then you can't. Centaur is like an NPC or a monster. And a fairy, can I be a fairy? No, it's NPC. But frog people, yes, I could be frog people. But can I be a harpy? No, but somehow I can be a Karkion. Like, why can't I be a harpy? Now, I know that I can. I know that I could probably take what's here and just make it work. But it kind of made me scratch my head. Like, okay, so I could be several different kinds of lizard and frog people. And then I was like, oh, cool, you could be a mermaid. not really. And maybe that one is, I don't know, can they not be on land? Can't be a minotaur. That kind of makes sense. A naiad, that's also a monster. But then it's like I could be a satyr. Swan maiden. This looks like an awesome playable character, and it's not. It's a monster. And so it's like, why can't I be a swan maiden? Now, I think it'd be weird to be a treekin. Would that be weird? I don't know. I mean, it would just like, as a GM, that would kind of be a nightmare for me if like one of my players' characters was like 40 times bigger than the other ones. So it's just constantly like lifting them over castle walls and stuff. I don't want to go through all of this because we have work to do today. And also there are other channels that have done a far better job of already going over this. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth the purchase. If you get the whole set, you're going to get these standees. They give you a few more of the plastic bases for those. And I really, if you are not only an RPG player, but also a collector, maybe some of you are just collectors of RPG books. I think that's awesome. But if you feel the way that I do, there are certain RPGs that you're like, okay, I want to get them, I want to play them, I want to be able to read it. And then there are certain RPGs that as you're paging through it, you're like, I possess something special. I have in my hand something really beautiful. This art I love looking at it. It's so diverse, but at the same time, it's coherent in terms of its design. The use of colors is not super bright, but it's so layered, textured. The shadows, contrast are so pretty. There's something that is simultaneously realistic about it, but also fantastical. It just reminds me of just being a kid and having, those books your older brothers have, like adventure books or whatever, and you just don't even understand what's going on in them, but you can't stop paging through them and letting your imagination just go totally wild. So it's beautiful. So we have insectoids, and we have some undead. That's really nice to have undead. Should always have some undead. And then finally dragons and demons. And then it's kind of over, which is, I was a little sad because I was like, oh, it'd be nice if there was like just a little something in the back here. I don't really know what the hell they'd put back there, but always love a good freebie. So anyways, if you buy it, this is what you get. I have the hardback rules book coming. I think they're going to release that in February. Looking forward to that. Really briefly before I get into things with the Dragonbane playthrough, congratulations to, let's see, can I bring this up here? Congratulations to Lord ZB for the best comment on the video, the one where I was whining about magic. So Lord ZB, or I think, well, I won't put you on blast here, but if that's you, please email me at amanalone@proton.me so that I can arrange the shipment to you of your own sealed box set of the Master's relics. And doing that, like a giveaway, it's pretty fraught, after I announced it and had to like read through the comments and decide, I was like, man, all these comments are awesome. And I know that some people probably wrote them like really hoping to win. It's just in my nature to like, I would just love to give one of these out to everybody if I could afford it. But I will say that having that, being able to share with followers in that way, and just the idea that I'll be able to send something, this thing that I really enjoy, makes me feel good. And so if I get an opportunity to do this again in the future, it's totally worth it to me. And so Lord ZB, please get in touch so that you can get your stuff. And thank you to everyone who wrote comments. The other thing that I want to say is that the 35 votes, which is incredible. Thank you to everyone. And I guess I should refresh the page just to make sure that there's been no new votes in the 5 minutes since I brought it up. We're good. Okay, so with 35 votes, it has been decided that with 31% beating out the mage by just a few percentage, we are going to randomize it. Real macho men can win with anyone, which is true. You know, and it's not, most solo RPG players are quite macho. And so I completely agree with that sentiment. Most of the reason why people are solo RPG players is because they are too macho. You know, we've tried playing in groups, but people are generally either too impressed with us, too intimidated by us, too deferent to us because of our machismo. So people do things like, you know, hey, can I give you my HP? Or like, hey, for this battle, can we just like hide behind your character and you can carry 4 axes? And I always have to be like, hey, everyone, like just because I'm macho and stunningly muscular as a human doesn't mean that all of my characters are like that as well. And eventually you just get so sick of explaining that you begin solo role playing. But if you will notice, and a bit of a spoiler, but if you watch my last video, one of the options on here was doing another Mallard warrior. Groddy's lineage must avenge his death. That did not get a lot of votes. Sounds like people want me to branch out from Mallard, and in fact was not a warrior. It was in fact an artisan, but I was thinking about him as a warrior. And so we're going to roll up a new character. And, you know, look, Groddy is gone. I'm always going to remember Groddy. You always remember you first. And Groddy, you know, died peacefully of natural causes. And by natural, I mean, when I say natural causes, I mean anything other than supernatural causes. So like anything that doesn't involve getting bitten by a ghost or having someone, you know, slay you in your dreams, that would be a natural cause. And so Groddy died peacefully of the natural cause of, I believe, an axe being thrown through his head. And so if Groddy were here, and he's not, he's in a dungeon sort of decomposing. But if he were here, Groddy would say, the show must go on. Okay. And so it shall. And so we're gonna roll up a new character, and you can look at my previous session zeros to see the process of rolling up characters. I don't want to take up too much time, and since we're gonna randomize it, let's just use a quick character generator, and then we'll fill that in. Now, I want to give 2 caveats. Number 1, I'll take any randomly generated character. However, I will not do another Mallard or Artisan. I want to do something different. And the other thing is, I'm not doing a bard. Okay, I'm sorry for all of you who are dedicated bards. I'm not doing it. As a solo player, what am I going to do? Am I going to play a flute and then for myself, you know, I encounter 3 goblins and I just start playing banjo? They're just going to rip me apart. So bard, no. Mallard, no. And artisan, no. Try something different. But other than that, we're just going to kind of roll the dice. I found this generator on monada.net/Dragonbane. I could put a link to that. It's actually a really good generator. I wish it went a little bit further because there's some stuff in here that's like fillable and editable. Like you can put in your willpower points and hit points, and it even gives you like starting weapons at hand. And this isn't going to be my starting person. This is just the first one that showed up. Unfortunately, you can't change this stuff. So it's like you could use this stuff, fill in your own sheet, but you can't change it. Now, there is another tool on nbotten.uk, and this person is incredible. I mean, just so many tools on this website for Dragonbane. And so basically we can use this one to roll stats, and then we'll take the stuff that we generated and probably after this video, or maybe I'll pause it, I'll fill all this stuff in. But otherwise, we're just going to give it a roll here and see what we come up with. Maybe I should zoom in a little bit so that everyone can see what comes up. We're looking at the top here. And again, anything other than Mallard, Artisan, Bard. Wish me luck. 3, 2, 1. Okay, an Artisan. We're going to roll again. Dwarf Artisan. No Artisan. Okay. A Halfling Hunter that is young. Interesting. So, Cotter Bloodhunger. That's a pretty cool name. We got 10 meters movement, 5 squares. Appearance, abnormally pale and pasty. Not so much different from the person, the player whose character the player character belongs to. My weakness is I am reckless. I always take big risks without the thought of consequences. I love it. So the person is just like me. Not some good spread on stats here. Actually, pretty darn good stats. We got 15 agility, 14 intelligence. So we'll be using some cunning. And this isn't, the lowest stat is actually charisma, which is great. Can we finally get a halfling character that is not just like being whimsical? This Cotter, welcome back, Cotter, is a hunter and serious about it. And so we got good agility, good intelligence, good enough strength, constitution. We got some good stats here. I just want to make sure that these work. It looks like it's going to be bows, knives, and slings. That's actually going to be really fun. We have a lot of 12 on myths and legends, 12 on awareness, 12 on hunting and fishing, healing, and bushcraft. That's actually really good because I did kind of a deep dive on camping and sleeping in the game, which I hadn't looked at too much before because it doesn't generally come up too much in the solo game, but as we extend out, it'll be more meaningful. And if you sleep outside, you have to do a bushcraft roll. And if you don't succeed at that, especially when it's cold, you don't get to sleep. And so you can't even do a shift rest. And we have leather armor and a good loadout here. Knife, longbow. Very good. Abilities, companion, willpower points cost 3. You can activate this ability to turn, let me make sure it's showing up for you. Yeah. You can activate this ability to turn an animal, not a monster, into your companion. This takes a stretch of time, and you can only have one animal companion at a time. The GM decides which animals are nearby, so that means me. See the list on page 99. The animal follows you as long as you remain in its natural environment, and it can scout for you at no additional willpower cost. For 3 additional willpower, you can command the animal to attack an enemy, which is a free action. Pretty damn good. All right, then we have, just bring this up here. Hard to catch, which you can activate this ability when dodging an attack, getting a boon to the evade roll. Nice. And then we got a quiver of arrows, sleeping pelt, torch, rope, fishing rod, 8 food rations. And again, those are broken up because you can put up to 4 food rations per slot. And in fact, weirdly, it looks like it started me over my encumbrance limit. Because I believe that encumbrance is equal to your derived strength. Well, whatever it is, I believe that my encumbrance is 6 and I'm at 7. So I don't know if we're going to let that fly. An old pewter tankard is my memento. And I don't know why my smart home product just perked up, but I don't know what a tankard is. What's a tankard? Comment below if you know what a tankard is, because right now I'm going to consider it a metal tank top. And then I got some flint and tinder and 1 silver. Kind of stinks because you can get a lot more silver than that. Okay. And then, of course, because this is a solo character, we're going to get the additional heroic ability. And curiously, I'm wondering, so we'll get either the Army of One or Soul Survivor. And I'm like, when I first read this, I was like, obviously Army of One. Obviously you want to do that. But now I'm like, I can push any roll without suffering a condition. Huh. That, statistically speaking, Army of One has to be better than that, right? Because I'm getting 2 actions per round and 2 movements per round. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Because, well, sometimes it might not work out well, right? Like, we clearly saw that from the last campaign. I had the 2 initiatives, but I forgot to draw the second one, and that's pretty much why Groddy died. I didn't tell his mother that, so we'll keep that between me and you. But let's just take a look here in the rule book at who we're dealing with here. So we have a hunter. Snaring hares, knifing boars, and silently stalking deer in the depths of the forest with arrows on their bowstrings. Hunters live for the hunt and the catch, killing one's prey in a respectful manner and making use of all its part for food, clothes, and weapons is a sacred calling for all true hunters. Their home and destiny are in the wilds, the magnificent, untamed, and cruel. That is where they find peace of mind and gather their strength. That is where their ruthless gods dwell. Many hunters are therefore quite solitary. Nice. And sometimes find it difficult to behave properly among people. I wonder if my camera is still doing the automatic reactions for things. Okay, good. I think it's solved. We're no longer causing balloons to go. Okay. Key attributes: agility. Makes sense. My skills that are trained skills are acrobatics, awareness, bows, bushcraft, hunting, and fishing, knives, sling, sneaking. And to remind everybody, your skills, because so the first thing you use to determine how many trained skills you have is your profession, right? These are the trained skills, and that just means, when you have a skill, you use a stat, you derive the skill number for that, and then whenever you have a trained skill, it doubles the derived number for that. The heroic ability is companion, and it looks like I got hard to catch from my kin being a halfling. Halflings are short humanoids, often found in hilly farmlands where they live in earthen dwellings with well-stocked larders. They are modest and amiable by nature with a natural affinity for hearth and home. I think everyone knows this, but halflings are neither warlike nor ambitious, mine is, but highly drawn to epic tales and beautiful songs from days long gone. No, we don't care about that. From time to time, this desire can lead them to leave the safety of their homes in search of grand adventures. Boy, I wonder where this was inspired by. Because of their vulnerability and fear of the tall ones, they are good at staying hidden and quickly getting out of critical situations. You know what? Welcome Back, Cotter is sort of a solo look, is a solo adventurer. Doesn't fit the mold, right? And ability is hard to catch, and you basically get a boon to the evade roll for 3 willpower. So that is the ability, and then you get a heroic ability as well. Now, what I want to figure out here is if this automatic stat generator here gave me randomly selected some trained skills for me, or if I have to select a few of the skills and train them. I guess they call them here derived ratings, but I believe that comes from the amount that you get is from your age. And okay, so mine is my welcome back Cotter is young. And so young gets train skills 6 plus 2. So we get 2 additional train skills in addition to the 6 from the profession. And so let's just briefly look over this. What do you have better to do? So acrobatics. Acrobatics is not showing up as a trained skill. I wonder why that is. So we will edit that. Oh, interesting. It's doing, it actually is rolling on top, but I can't switch it. Acrobatics is, can I change this? No. So I'll have to fix that. Awareness, that's correct. Bows, that's correct. Bushcraft, that's correct. Hunting and fishing, that is correct. Knives, boom. Slings, good. Sneaking, no. So is it possible that my age, if you're young, you get 6 plus 2 and your agility and constitution's plus 1. So I will consider that has already happened, but let me think on it to see if I need to adjust any of these other stats. I'll do that offline so as not to torture you. The movement, 10 meters, that should be 8. Yeah, that should be 8. So I'll adjust that as well because a halfling is 8. But wait a minute. If your agility is 13 to 15 is plus 2. So, okay. No, that's correct. Good. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, my agility is 15. So like acrobatics, my base chance for that should be 6, but because it's a trained skill, it should be 12. But I actually think what happened here is that it put my trained skills into myths and legends and healing as like the 2 extra trained skills, which I think I could leave those as my additional 2 trained skills, but I also get acrobatics and sneaking. Really, I mean, it's only right that what is the benefit of a halfling hunter if I can't be good at sneaking? All right, so what I'm going to do then is I will just transfer this into this page right here. We'll save it. And what's kind of interesting too is you could add these secondary skills, but we're not going to do that right now because of mage. And, you know, I'm trying to figure out if I need to, use this or if I could use the fillable form that I had on the last. I really like this interface better, but it also feels a little, I like the old style feel of actually working off the sheet. But the sheet is a form field fillable PDF, which like traditionally suck as data entry field forms. So I may use this. I can decide. The other thing that I want to think about, and I've been tossing this around, and I'm curious what everyone thinks about this, is I've been thinking, could I play solo with more than one character? And I'm certain I could do it. I'm certain that I could, I could just have a few character sheets and make decisions and parlay between them. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about like how onerous that would be in terms of watching that if I was constantly trying to juggle between like multiple different characters. So what I've considered, this is a one nominee that could be my halfling hunter. What I considered is having a sort of NPC as an ally. And I was, in fact, I don't know. Maybe I would be curious about what you think about this. If you recall, in Alone in Deepfall Breach, the dude who gives you out these missions is Inglefur Stonegaze, right? And it's his old wolfkin. But interestingly, it does get a stat write-up in the solo instructions. And yes, this is not going to give me a full character's worth of information, but I'm thinking, what if, like in my last adventure, I was just, teaming up with those orcs on the first mission, and I just pretty much set their stuff as like, their skills are 10 and their, that could be one. Their skills are 10 and, I would just kind of keep it simple by rolling everything across that. And anytime that like there was like an actual skill test, I would just roll it using my own skills. But what I could do is I could just kind of create that character as a person in my party that is not a fully fleshed out character. And perhaps sometimes I don't even make decisions for them, right? Like maybe sometimes I can even use this like NPC action table and just roll on it to see what Inglefur does, in terms of an attack or anything like that. And then maybe I could just make the stats or the skills sort of an average of mine. And I can, maybe not perfect, but I can sort of increase those by 1 over time so that he's like scaling along with me and that it doesn't become incredibly weak. Or maybe, I can meet another NPC along the way. I'm not sure what's better, but I'm curious what people think about that plan. If you have any opinion at all, please write a comment. And here's another. This could definitely be the hunter. That could very well work. This is a dwarf for sure, but I don't see why that could not also be a halfling. Okay. So either way, what we're going to do is we are going to pick up the adventure with we're going to go to the next solo adventure. As I've been saying for a while, and I don't want it to be empty words, I think that Deepfall Breach is a proving ground. And so I think that when I am able to get through several of the missions in Deepfall Breach and not lose my hide, then I would consider my character ready to move on to the bigger world. And there is a whole bunch of bigger world out there. As you can see here, right? Like we're at Deepfall Breach right now, which is right under the X right now. But we're very close to, let me just move this over so you can see it. Outskirts. Look at that little face under there. So we have different places that we can go. Yeah, so we'll have to decide what we want to do with that. But we started with the captive orc, and what we're going to do is pick up with the cultist Warren, just so I don't feel like playing through the last mission again. I want something new. And in total, there are 5 of these solo missions in Deepfall Breach. I say that if Cotter can get through the breach, then that's enough to convince me that they have what it takes to go out to the bigger world. All right. So I think, to me, this is what Cotter, I think this is the halfling hunter. So she is I mean, this to me screams like literally cloak and dagger. So Cotter, she doesn't play, she doesn't play by the rules. She writes her own rules, and we're gonna see how that pans out when we start the Cultist Warren. We'll do that in the next episode, but we'll get it started right now by just reading the intro here. The Cultist Warren. My gaze is fixed. Now remember, this is Inglefur Stonegaze talking. My gaze is fixed upon the cultists' subterranean outpost. There find ye Ariok, the devotee of demons who wears the World Breaker shard as a medallion. Wrest it from them so we may remake its power for good. So the threat, and if you recall, the threat is we will keep like a threat counter, and every time there's some sort of failure, we'll increase that. The threat is the chasm is restless, magma churns below. Be quick, lest the breach unleash its fury in your path. When the threat activates, flowing magma bursts into the scene, causing chaos. Bros, I think I might have some liquid hot magma. Could it be? I wonder. So room number 1, the stone maw. This great earthen visage is twisted and warped by time and the chisels of cultists, evoking a fanged monstrosity whose gaping maw presents your entry point. I see blood dripping from those wicked fangs, but I cannot say if this vision is real or prophetic. So we'll start there, but for now, I think it'd be good if we find out a little bit about Cotter and who Cotter is. And so maybe what we can do is go to the place where I'm just grabbing some stuff right now that will probably be used in the cultists' warren. Some spikes, some pits, some cages, some pools of blood. So it sounds like this first place that we're going to go is like, oh yeah, magma. It sounds like the first place we're going to go is like one of those things. Yes, so much magma. Is one of those places that like the entrance to it is like a stone mouth. But for now, we're going to start back in, what is the place called where you hang out with Inglefur? I think it's called the Chapel. The Chapel and the Wolf. The nameless chapel stands at the edge of Deepfall Breach. The mortared stones of the structure have stood fast against time, wind, and calamity. Inside, the chapel casts a shadow of itself, rotting pews, piles of refuse, tattered tapestries depicting battles, candles lend their meager glow. So Inglefur says, the breach, impossible to map with any accuracy. He introduces himself as Stonegaze, though he also supplies his true name, Inglefur. Let's just give him a Sean Connery accent. Have you come to delve the breach? He asks. There's good to be done, justice to be dealt, and riches to be uncovered, if ye've the metal for it. To which Cotter is like, yeah, I have the metal. I have the metal for it. I'm made of metal. I need Inglefur's, I don't know. This is like stuff that I should be doing backstage. All right. So again, Cotter, Cottar, Inglefur Stonegaze, IN Golfer. Yeah. Okay. And we're inside the chapel and kind of walk in, and maybe Inglefur is sort of standing over a fire in the middle of the room. Some weapons over here. And it says something about candles. Great. There's that thing. And we'll get the rest out of here for now. So let's find out a little bit about Cotter here. So to review, let me get that out of the frame. to review, my weakness is recklessness, and I'm pale and pasty, which I don't necessarily think needs to come into play, although maybe it means that I'm not someone who needs to be in the sun, that I'm comfortable underground, which is good because we're in Deepfall breach, so I don't think there's a lot of sun coverage. And let's just fill in some other gaps here. So using using the Oracle table, the fortune chart, let's find some things out here. So this is the basic like yes no table. So it's a 1d6. And let's say, has Cotter ever been on dangerous missions before? Now, Cotter's pretty young, so why don't we do a -1 on this roll just to make it a little less likely, but not to rule it out completely. Has Cotter been on dangerous quests before? 2, -1, extreme no. Okay, so Cotter says, I've never been on a quest. Hold on, let's think. I've never... So this is how Ingleford talks. And then Cotter is going to say, is Cotter serious or more of a jokester? So let me just say, is Cotter a serious person? 2, no. So Cotter is a bit of a jokester, maybe because they're young and brash and she just doesn't take stuff seriously. So she says, I've never been on adventures before, but I get the gist. Well, perhaps you've never been on an adventure like Deepfall Breach. I've sent many in that never returned. And you can't be sure, but you hear a faint quacking in the wind. And she says, listen, old man, I don't really fit in where I come from. And truth be told, I'd rather be on my own. So why don't you just tell me what needs to be done? And if I come back, we're all the better for it. And if I don't, just pretend you never even met me and you never have to think about me again, okay? And Ingleford maybe says, don't you think you should take some time to train? I don't need to train. If I've done anything my whole life, it's training. All I've ever done is train. I'm tired of training. I'm tired of the small village and the little houses and the fields and the games and the little celebrations on every holiday. I want adventure. And no matter where I go, no one takes me seriously. So I came here to make a name for myself, and all I've got to ask is, what do you have to lose? And Ingleford takes a deep breath because, this is... Ingleford's been through some stuff, right? Seen some stuff. But I don't think that Ingleford is uncaring. I don't think that Ingleford has the attitude of like, if she dies, she dies. But Ingleford also recognizes perhaps like this feeling of a call for adventure. And maybe even sees a bit of himself there in his younger days. And because of that, I would say that Ingleford considers, perhaps he could help Cotter a bit. Perhaps he could accompany her down to Deepfall Breach. And let me see. Let me ask the fortune chart. Would Cotter be happy to accept the help? Or actually, let's use the scale. How happy would Cotter be to accept help from Ingleford? Not very small amount. Okay. So Cotter says, I don't need you to babysit me, old man. The reason why I had to run away from my home is because nobody wanted to allow me to go on these adventures. So the last thing I need is someone staring over my shoulder. And Inglefur says, whoever said anything about staring over your shoulder? I just said, I'm going to go down with you. If you don't mind if you live or die, you can just ignore me. And I guess Cotter sees that, like, you know, to find passage to the breach and to use the resources here, and it kind of uses as a home base, she's going to have to acquiesce with what Inglefur wants. And so she agrees. She says, all right, fine. You can come down with me the first time I go down. But after that, if I'm not dead, then maybe you're going to understand that I can do this alone. And by then, I'll understand just how much you slow me down. And I think Inglefur kind of chuckles knowingly, says that's fine, and introduces the first mission to Cotter, and says, which again, we know that the mission that we're starting with here is the Cultist Warren. And Inglefur says, all right then, I have a bit of work for you. We need to find a cultist, Ariok, a devotee of demons, has something called the Worldbreaker Shard. And Cotter says, Worldbreaker Shard? As if something about that is like, she's hit with a sense of both like excitement and disbelief, right? That sounds like a pretty powerful thing. That's right. Ariok wears it as a medallion. If Ariok is able to release the power of the Worldbreaker Shard, then it may very well live up to its name. But if we get it back in our possession, then there's no telling what sort of power we can convert it into for good. She says, great. I'm ready to go if you are. And Inglefur laughs because it's very late at night and says, child, we'll go first thing in the morning. You'll get some sleep, polish your knives, and be ready. And that is where we will pick it up on the next episode. I think I'll start next episode by showing some of my new RPGs, or maybe I'll make an extra video for that. It depends how enthusiastic I am. And just so everyone is aware, I also recently picked up Index Card RPG, and I'm curious if any of you have used that before. I find some parts of the system very intriguing and some parts of them scratching my head over, but curious if anyone has used that, especially in a solo capacity. But otherwise, we'll make up this character sheet, and we're going to go back into the breach with Cotter. And so thank you again for joining me, and see you soon.